What's up, everyone? Justin Taylor here with Rock Title, and you're listening to Anyone Can Be a Rock Star, a ROC University podcast. Listen weekly as we sit down with industry top producers and leaders to discuss the ideas, the opportunities, and the strategies that ultimately led them to success in their business so you can do the same. And today we're listening in on a coaching session that we did with Debbie De Grote on how to triple your referral business. Listen carefully as she talks about writing down your top 25 VIP people. She gives you the exact communication plan and marketing ideas for you to be able to triple your referral business. Think about it. If you had a top 25 VIP list and just each of those referred you one client a year, that would substantially change your business. Even if half of those people on that list referred you one person a year, that would substantially change your business. So please take the time, listen in, write down the ideas, do the homework, get your top 25 VIP people in, and we will see you in escrow.
The reason we thought this topic would be such a great one, over my 20 plus years of coaching, almost every agent that I speak to says to me, the majority of my business comes from the people I know. My past clients, my sphere, or referrals. And then they often always say, though, but I don't get enough. Like, I wish I could get more. So we know it's such a huge source of business. That's why I thought, why not go to the best source and talk about in this fourth quarter, how do we extract more business from really the group of people that you most like to work with? And that, I would say most agents say it's 80% plus. And that's why we thought, well, this is perfect timing because many of the people who are in your database would like to know from you, what is happening in the market? And I always think, what a great excuse to give them the fourth quarter update. So a bit of background, I see where some of you guys are from. I'm right here, right now in Costa Mesa, near South Coast Plaza. I started my real estate career here in LA, Orange County, sold for 16 years. My husband is still a full-time agent, 30 plus years in the business. And then for the last 20 years, had the pleasure to coach, I think, some of the brightest and best across the nation and be a preferred coach to many brands like Realty One Group and Berkshire Hathaway and Century 21 Realty Executives. So I get around, which means I get to hear lots of great stuff about what agents are doing currently to triple their database and referral business. Okay, so let me go back here real quick, guys. I got too carried away. Hold on. There we go. All right, I think we're good. This is interesting. There was a survey not long ago where the report came back that 91% of buyers said they would use their agent again, which is great, right? And then they surveyed sellers and 90, something's going, hold on here. Something's wrong, Justin. There we go. Now we got it. I don't know if it's my computer or Zoom. 74% of sellers say they would use their agent again. So we've got 90+% of buyers that would use you again. 74% of your sellers say they would use you again. And yet, yeah, something's up, Justin. I don't know what's happening here. Sorry, guys. If we have to ditch it, we'll just ditch it.
Okay. But only going to the next slide.
Yeah, I think it's when the slide changes. So only 26% actually return. So why do you guys think that is? And I would love to have you type that in the chat box. And we've got 90% plus buyers would come back to you, 74% plus sellers. So what are some of the reasons you think that only 26% return? So I see lack of communication, not staying top of mind, no follow-up, they forgot our name, not keeping in contact. Well, I actually think it's very admirable that you're all taking responsibility for the problem, but that's not the only factor, right? So yes, we could increase our communication. Wouldn't you also say that a lot of it is because there are so many agents vying for their attention? I know in the Park City market, it's like 1 out of every 8 people is a real estate agent. Now, if you look at Zillow, how people go on Zillow to shop, and then it says, hey, do you want to talk to an agent? Well, that agent isn't you, right? So they're getting pulled away. And I also read something the other day that 50% loyalty is down in all industries by 50%. So customers are just not as loyal as they used to be. Why? Too many options, right? And too much exposure. A quick story that was just sort of a great point about communication and top of mind. I was doing the Florida convention recently, and a keynote speaker there was Martha Stewart. So I thought, well, I'm going to sneak in the back room and listen to Martha Stewart and see what she has to say. And one of the things she mentioned is how she knows her audience and she uses every channel possible to stay top of mind. Direct mail. She's got her magazine. She's got her electronic, her emails, her social media. Now she's into TikTok. She said, any show I can get on, any place I can speak. She said, I'm a shameless self-promoter. And on the way back from this convention, happened to be a movie on in the airplane about Julia Child. And Julia Child was as iconic in her own way as Martha Stewart. She had the first TV show on cooking. She wrote this amazing cookbook that's still a bestseller today. But what was the difference? She didn't have that connection and communication with her audience because she was, of course, limited. We didn't have computers then. She didn't have computers. She didn't have social media. So that's good for you, but it's also tougher for you because that means lots of other agents can get in front of them, right? And 90% of the agents that come to us for coaching, one of the things they often say they want to work on is how to improve these connections, this web of connection, that they just don't work their database as they should. So I don't want to embarrass anyone. We're all friends here, but I would love to hear if that's you, that you don't work your database as you should. Tell us what gets in the way, right? What stops you? I guess you might say, what are those limiting beliefs? So we know everyone knows more than one agent in their market. And if we're going to double and triple our referral business, we must stay top of mind. It's easy enough to say that, but then what are the systems that you should perfect for working these people? And I was just writing a webinar that I'm going to be doing soon called the top 10 things you must do by the end of the year. One of the things I put on that list is you must have a CRM and you must use it. Get all your people off your phone, off your Excel spreadsheets, out of the boxes, that might be sitting next to you at your desk on the floor and have been there for years. And let's get them all into the funnel of this CRM. And any great CRM that might be out there that you would choose typically has some drip campaigns. Check them out. Are they good enough? Now, will they be as good as something you'd create organically? Probably not. And yet I think of those automated touches and drip campaigns, not as a replacement for you, however, a safety net, right? That there's at least that layer of connection so that you might not be able to reach out to them in a particular week or month. However, something is touching them. So what are the limiting beliefs? So I'm embarrassed. They haven't heard from me for a long time, right? That's a very common one. They know I want to help. Won't they just call me if they have a referral to send my way? So let's talk about these two for just a moment. I'm embarrassed. They haven't heard from me for a long time. For a long time. Sorry, guys, the computer is distracting me. I said naked people wouldn't, and now the computer is. So here's the thing. When you sold them their house, they didn't have an expectation that you were going to be contacting them in the future in any particular fashion. They don't know. We know that we should be reaching out, mailing to them, potentially speaking to them every quarter, staying in touch electronically. We know we should be doing that. They don't have that expectation. And let's think about this too. They're busy. They have a life. They're probably not sitting there thinking, gosh, it's been 2 years, 100 days, and 25 hours and 2 minutes since I last heard from my real estate agent. It's not that important to them. That doesn't mean, though, that they wouldn't love to hear from you. And I think the fact that we have a shifting market right now is a perfect excuse to reach out. So how would I do that? I would use a script like this. I wanted to reach out. I know it's been a long time, and I had a couple of important things to share with you. But first, how are you? Are you okay? How is your family? What's happened in your life since we last spoke? Well, you probably know the market is changing, certainly not crashing. We're just seeing some shift. And I wondered, what questions would you like to ask me? What would you like to know? Do you have a question about the value of your home? Or what are your real estate related plans for the next 6 to 18 months? See, instead of showing up, do they want to buy? Do they want to sell? Hey, can you give me a referral? Instead, we're showing up as their wise advisor, as their real estate consultant. And you could even say, this is simply a customer service call. I just wanted to reach out to see, in this shifting market, how can I be helpful to you? See, you've got a perfect reason, because things are changing. As their advisor, it's your responsibility to let them know. And think about this. How would you feel if your CPA, who might be fairly costly, suddenly called you one day, just out of the blue, and said, hey, I was thinking about you. There's a new tax law that just went into place, and it's going to impact the real estate industry, and I thought you should know about it. And I just wanted to share that with you. Just customer service. You'd feel special. You'd think, wow, that was great. You would feel that they actually cared about you. So if you come at it with that approach, I'm their wise advisor, I'm their consultant, this is a customer service conversation, then you're much more likely to feel good about making those calls. So let's talk about this one. They know I want to help. Won't they just call me if they have a referral to send my way? I thought about this the other day because we recently had our exterior of our house painted. And you know how sometimes that's just a nightmare? This team was amazing. They were in and out within a couple of days. They did a perfect job. They came back and inspected to make sure we were happy. They were incredible. And they gave me a stack of business cards. And they said, you probably know a lot of people. I know you're in the real estate industry. We would appreciate your referrals. I said, of course, I like them, right? They do a great job. What did I do? I took those cards, I put them in the kitchen drawer, and I forgot about them. And I forgot about the painters. And I forgot about looking for business for them. Why? I'm busy. They're busy. So here's the thing. What did the painter do wrong? See, what they should have done is they should have said, Debbie, I know you know a lot of people. I'm curious, can you think of 1 or 2 friends, family members, acquaintances you have, 1 or 2 who might need an introduction to me right away? See, that would make me stop and think. I like them. I want to help them. And the memory jogger, friends, family, an acquaintance in the neighborhood, someone who you think would need to get connected to me right away? Can you think of just one person? Now, obviously, if I can't, he could give me those cards and he could say, would you mind if in a week I reach back out to you just in case someone comes to mind? See, we have to be more proactive because we're not the most important thing in their world, right? And we're not the most important thing on their mind. Now, here's a couple of other reasons you may not get the referrals that you need. And if you guys are okay with this, seems to be working. I may just ditch this slides if they give us any more problem. Another reason you may not get the referrals you need, they might think you're too busy. Have you ever done this? Maybe you're at some party, or a charity event or something you're participating in, and you go running in late because you had to show that one more buyer, right? So now you're late, you're out of breath, you're a little bit frazzled, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry that I'm late. So sorry, just so crazy busy. Or someone asks you, you're sitting at your kid's sports game and someone's sitting next to you, hey, how's real estate? Oh, it's insane. I am so busy. I'm working crazy hours. Do they think you need a referral? Probably not. So be careful. When someone asks you, how's business? You could say it's crazy busy because that makes you seem successful. Or you could say, it's good. Thank you for asking. And yet I always have time to help another family. I've got buyers waiting for homes. And is there anyone you've talked to that might want to talk to me? Anyone you could introduce me to, right? So let's make sure they know you have time for them. Now, here's another reason that they may not reach out to you with a particular referral. They may not understand all of the areas and all of the price points that you service. You see, what they tend to do is they place you in their mind as working the area where you assisted them. So for an example, my husband, he works LA and Orange County, not all of it, but a good portion of it. So I said to him, why don't you just do this? Make it easy. On your marketing pieces and in your conversation, simply say, I'm licensed in the state of California. And I sell everything from condo to mansion. Nothing's too big or too small. And if you're leaving California, I have connections with agents all across the world. Just contact me first. Now, is he going to try to help a client in Sacramento? No, we're going to refer it. Is he going to try to help a client in downtown LA? No, we're going to refer it. And yet it's just easier to get them to come to you, licensed in the state of, selling everything from condo to mansion. You may want to add commercial, vacant land, whatever you do. Let them understand the scope of the area that you work, okay? Because that will open a lot more doors. I had an agent tell me just today, they just lost an opportunity for $1 million listing because they said their very loyal past client told them just today, yeah, my brother just listed his house. I wish you could have helped him. He was only 10 minutes away, but the client didn't think that he worked in that particular county. So let's make sure they know, okay? So a predictable machine will produce a predictable and lasting result. So let's talk about what a predictable machine would look like. I saw someone, Carrie, talked about get rid of the Rolodex cards. It's funny, Carrie, there might even be people watching this that go, what is that? What is a Rolodex? I don't think my daughters would know what a Rolodex is, right? But I do. And I remember that when I first got into real estate, my broker gave me this big box. It was produced by a company that was owned by John Lumlow, who back in the day was an amazing agent. And in this box, it had cards. and they were color coded, and there was the tabs for the month and the tabs for the days of the month. And my broker said, you need to organize all your people in this box, and you need to move them to the next callback date. Use the right color card for the type of lead they are. And every day you come in, whatever cards are behind today's date, those are the people you call. Well, that's what a CRM is, right, guys? That's what a CRM is. You take all of these people, you put them into that contact management system. You, instead of color coding them, you code them by buyer, seller, A, B, C, C being, in my mind, just to nurture them. They're not a lead, but I met them somewhere, and who knows, maybe someday they will become a lead. Because see, before we had a CRM to use, you pretty much just threw those people away, which is a shame. For example, if I went to a charity event and let's say I meet 20 great people and they're all extremely nice and they live in the community, but they're not buyers or sellers, I would have just left that event without their information because it would be too overwhelming to try to organize that manually. But see, now I could say to Justin, it was great meeting you tonight, Justin. And I have something that I do for my friends and my family and my great clients. I send them important real estate bulletins and updates. No charge, no obligation or pressure. Justin, why don't I include you in my information loop? See, no one wants to be added to a marketing list. However, they want to be on the inside track. Why don't I include you? And then I'll send you those great bulletins. I'm making him feel special. He's coming into my group, going to get that great quality information. Now, I'm going to bring Justin back, put him in my CRM. He's not a buyer. He's not a seller. I'm going to put him in that C category, and I'm going to label it. Where did I meet him? What did we talk about at that meeting? Anything I remember about my conversation with him. And now, since he's not a buyer or seller, probably not going to do direct mail to him. I may not even call him again. I may just leave him there and let that machine of those auto campaigns stay in touch. So I'll give you an example. There's a great agent in San Diego who's done a lot of work over the years in the community. He's been in the business for 30 years. He has 20,000 people in his C category. Just met them somewhere. Not a lead, not a buyer, not a seller, just in that nurture category. They get an email from him every week. And he said every month he gets 7 to 9 listings that come out of that C group. And they say, yeah, I've been hearing from you forever. He doesn't know who they are. He has to look them up in his CRM. Then it comes back to him. Oh yeah, we met at that event 2 years ago. Oh, I can't believe you remember. Well, thank goodness his predictable machine helped him remember. So think about it this way. You know how you buy something online and now you're opted in and now they send you emails? You might never go back to that company and purchase again, but the fact that they're sending you messaging and staying top of mind, pretty good odds that you might. So the goal today is that you guys will take 2 to 3 things and put into action immediately. And if I could encourage you, that one of those things would be decide what is going to be my technology, my system to drop that web of connection and stay in touch. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely something crazy. Okay. I want to go back. Pink elephant. I see I just passed that. So what is that? Let's talk about that. That is a campaign for those of you who are still reluctant because you're saying, wow, it's been so long. It's like 5 years, 10 years. What should I do? Well, I call it addressing the pink elephant in the room. So here's how you would start that campaign. You would write a letter, and in that letter, you would basically say, I wanted to reach out. I'm sorry it's been so long. I wanted to get in touch because the market is changing. And I thought there are some things you'd like to know. I thought you might like an update on the value of your home. Please give me a call. I would be happy to speak with you. So you send that letter. So whoever calls you, wonderful. Lots of them won't. Don't worry about it. That just means they're busy and they didn't get around to it, or they don't think they need anything. Now, a week later, you take that letter and you turn it into a shorter version in an email. Hey, you might not have, maybe you didn't see the letter, or you haven't had a chance to give me a call, and you say the same thing again. Love to speak to you, love to give you an update. Can you reach out when you have time? So they don't respond. Whoever doesn't respond, now the next week you send a text, just following up the email and the letter. And I thought you might like to connect. When this week would be good for you? See, now we've had a chance to kind of warm them up a little, hearing from you again, understanding what is your purpose for reaching out. Now, the following week, now you give them a phone call. Okay, so that's called the Pink Elephant series, if that makes you guys a little bit more comfortable. Okay, and so we want to think about our web of connection as call, email, text, in-person visits, potentially with some of them, and any events that you might hold, including open houses on sexy properties. Why not invite them? Okay. Now, remember, as you're adding people to your CRM, label them carefully. And while it's top of mind, take as many notes as you can. You know, we're fanatics here about using our CRM to its best capacity. And I just had someone call this morning and join coaching. And the first time I spoke to them, I could tell in my CRM was 2015. That's when I first met them. I knew where I met them, how I met them. Then 2018, August 12th of 2018, they contacted me to have a conversation about joining coaching, but they didn't join. But I made notes of all their issues, all their problems, everything they were struggling with, why they didn't join at that moment. We stayed in contact, invited them to webinars, sent them great tools, all complimentary. So now they called today and said, I'm ready to join coaching. And I went back into my CRM and I said, well, when we spoke last, you said you had this issue and this issue and this issue. How are you doing? He said, wow, I can't believe you remember. And I still have all those issues, which is why I need coaching. But see, it's so powerful because you become very organized, very calm. You know, everyone's getting touched and communicated with. And I think it's really 5-star service, right? Like that old show Cheers, where everyone knows your name. So I want you to leave the session today creating a relationship priority plan. So who do you consider your A+ people? Maybe there's 10, maybe there's 25. A+, I think of those as not just your raving fans, but they are your influencers. They're the people, they're like a Justin, right? He's an influencer. They're out and about and they're matching people. And hey, you should meet and you should talk to, and let me introduce you to my great agent. And they potentially have done multiple transactions. They get extra special treatment. So what would be your campaign for your A+ people? How often would you want to get together with them? How often would you want to call them? Probably every month. Then we've got our A group, again, raving fans, just not that those big, influencers necessarily. Their plan might be slightly different. Let's say your B people. Well, I'm calling my A people every quarter. I think I'll call my B people twice a year. And then the C people we already talked about would potentially be only nurture campaigns. You could invite them to open house. You could invite them to events, but you're probably not going to spend a ton of time and a ton of money on those people. Okay, so we want to add notes about all the interactions and all the details. When you make your calls, you could invite them to an event. You could see what their real estate related plans are for the future. You could even offer an annual real estate checkup. For many, many years, until I got too busy to do so, I coached Farmers Insurance nationally. And one of the things that they did every year is they called it the Friends and Family Review, FFR, Friends and Family Review, FFR. And what they would do is once a year, they would call every insurance client and they would say, we're just doing a customer service call to see, do we need to make any changes to your policy? Are you spending too much? Could we decrease your deductible? Do you have any new drivers in the household? Have you made any significant purchases that you've forgotten to insure? Very gracious, very caring, customer service. They knew everything about them. And that's how they would maintain loyalty, but also sell a lot of new product. Okay, so what I popped up there on the screen for you is suggested activity on a client priority action plan. And of course, you're going to get this video, so you'll be able to go back and to look at that again. Just something very simple. And I would say, don't overcommit. Start with the foundation of what you're going to do, which could be your calls, right? I want to make, in fact, I would encourage you to call everyone in your past client and sphere before the end of the year. Then you can go on to create your action plan, drop that into your CRM and into your calendar. What about mailing? Is direct mail still worth it? Absolutely, right? Think about how many emails you get a day. And then when you go home at night, how many pieces of mail? Now, of course, we've got holidays coming where we get the onslaught, right, of all the catalogs and all of that type of thing. But I was thinking about the webinar today. When I went home last night, I had 4 pieces of mail in the mailbox. Yesterday, between my 2 email addresses, I probably had 400 emails. So it does matter, but I would say use that wisely. So that's going to be primarily probably your sphere, potentially a geographic farm, your past clients. You can mail to cold strangers, just listed, just sold, around listings you have where you have no relationship with those people. The return is going to be relatively low on that type of mailing. The return on direct mail to people who know who you are and what you do is relatively good, right? I won't say it rings the phone off the hook, but it's part of that web of connection. And I would just encourage you to be careful that you're investing your dollars on things that matter. Maybe you're sending them a personal note, a postcard with a market update, an invitation to an event. I used to like to always send a Happy New Year letter. I skipped the Christmas card because they get so much stuff at Christmas. And instead, I would do a Happy New Year letter. I would thank them for their support in the previous year, talk a little bit about the market, offer a market update, offer to be there to help their friends and family. So you could do letters, birthdays, and I always like to do home anniversary. Item of value, what would that be? Well, some of the CRMs have built in a market report function. So you can put in their zip code and they will automatically receive that market update. And there's tools like HomeBot, right? HomeBot, HOMBOT. I know that they do that as well, relatively inexpensive. Now, with a tool like that, what's really cool is, as many of you know, you can go into that system and you can see who opened that message, who opened that market report. Now that gives you a perfect excuse to call that person back and say, I noticed you opened the report. What did you think of the estimated value? Did you agree with it? Did you not agree with it? Do you have any questions for me? Or I might call the people as well who didn't open. Maybe I've been sending it for 2 or 3 months. Now I look at those people who have not opened it and say, I'm not sure if you were aware that I've been sending you this incredible tool. And it's really cool, only takes a minute and keeps you up to date on the value of your home. By the way, while I have you on the phone, tell me, what are your real estate related plans for the new year ahead? Other items of value could be newsletters. Those are very popular, especially with your sphere. It could be, we have consumer guides at Forward Coaching that we created for our clients, a move up, a downsize, annual real estate planning. So if you have resources like that, you could offer that. Anything that you think would be something that they would feel is informative or helpful. Okay. Now, if you email them, short and sweet, subject line matters. So think about that subject line. You might even just say, hi there, because we don't want it to seem like a marketing email. Again, those same items of value. Think about repurposing your content. I'll give you an example. I just wrote an article today for a real estate magazine, and it was kind of a hassle. I don't really like doing it. It took a while. So then I thought, okay, I have that article. I'm going to turn that article into a webinar. Then I'm going to turn that article into a blog. Then I'm going to turn that article into an email. See, you could do the same thing. And never, ever worry, whoa, if I mailed them something, should I also email them the same thing? Absolutely. Because everyone has their preferred channel, right, that they pay attention to. And if you mailed it and they read it and it probably went in the trash, and now a week later, they get it via email, they will not even remember they got it the week before. So think about repurposing that content. Links to, and speaking of that, links to real estate articles, information that you think would be helpful. I think of it as, what are they sitting around the dinner table talking about? What are the questions on their mind? Okay, let's talk about events. These are so powerful. Conversion is so high. And yet most agents won't do them. So let me talk first about the educational events, because that's really where the leads come from. The what I would call connection events, that creates visibility in the community. You might get some immediate leads. The educational events, though, have a conversion rate of over 50% within 90 days. So here's what happened, what we did here at Forward during COVID. So our clients, of course, were distraught, as all of us were when it first happened, thinking, what are we going to do? How are we going to stay connected? We can't do open houses. We can't knock on doors. We can't go to networking events. How are we going to attract business? So we put together 4 educational event kits: move up, downsize, rent versus own, and buying an investment. And then we taught our clients how to do these events. So let me give you a few tips on how you can do this pretty easily. Pick the segment of that market that you most want to work. Let's say it's move up sellers, right? Move up, they're going to sell and they're going to move up and buy. So you say, I'm going to do an educational event. Great. You can do it via Zoom, just like we're doing today. Or you could go to the library or some other venue that's affordable or free and say, I'm going to do it at an actual venue. So who are you going to invite? Everyone you know on your social media, in your database. You're going to send out invitations and messages. If you have a geographic farm, you're going to market it to the farm. And then you're going to find some joint venture partners. So let's say you found a great insurance agent there in your community, and you said, hey, you invite your people, I'll invite mine, I'll give you some stage time, and we'll both introduce each other to new people. So you get a couple joint venture partners, they promote the event, you promote the event, you get everyone together on Zoom or in a room. One of our clients, Jada Turner in Virginia, she did this for an entire year. 1 week, she would do a move-up event. 2 weeks later, she would do a downsize event. She did them on Zoom. She had 3 partners that also participated and invited their people. And at the end of the year, she had closed 13 million in volume just from the events. She had other volumes she did, but 13 million from the events, another 3 million pending that closed into the new year, and an additional 4 million that she closed this year because of last year's events. And guess what? Didn't cost a penny. And she didn't even have to leave her house. But she's very good at follow-up, and that's why her conversion was almost 90% within 90 days. If you don't like to speak, if you say, I can't imagine myself doing something like this, then guess what? Find somebody who does. Look at Justin. He loves it, right? Find someone who does and partner with them. So client appreciation parties are cool. Do what's manageable, what's affordable. Again, you might be able to pull in a few sponsors. Business mixers. If you went to the Chamber of Commerce meetings and participated, there's going to be some people there that are probably kind of lackluster. They're not movers and shakers. They're showing up hoping they'll get some business. But if I can make just one good connection, one amazing influencer that can later do community connection events with me or educational events with me, or I can invite them to be part of a special networking group, right? But all of this, though, can feed and serve your database. Because while you might be meeting new people, you're treating these people special. You're inviting them often to educational events, to fun community events, to conversations with you, and providing that valuable information. So don't forget, in that marketing that you're doing, part of that messaging would be all of the areas that you service, okay? And you want to shine as that wise advisor and the only clear choice to do business with. And the way to do that is by the type of content that you send them. So you want to be prepared to address local, national, even global real estate news and trends. And of course, no one has a crystal ball, so we're just forwarding over that information. And in those conversations, find out what they want. What do they want from you? What do they need from you? Put those notes in that CRM and then deliver it, right? And of course, we've already talked about areas you serve and price points, never making them think you're too busy, and train them to come to you first, even if they're leaving the area. And then I would encourage you right now, set a note in your calendar that if you don't get to everyone by the end of the year, in January, you've got to finish up that list of offering them an annual real estate checkup. All right, so how to ask for referrals? Well, who said you had to wait until the deal closes? Who made that rule, right? Because have we ever had those moments in a transaction where it's been wonderful, you've done amazing things, but at the last minute, everything falls apart, right? So ask for those referrals early on, also because when the deal closes, now they're mentally super busy, right? They're either moving out or moving in. They're not focused. So there's a thing called theory of reciprocity. So at the beginning, you've had a great consult, you're setting the stage, you've listened to them, you've taken notes, you set an action plan to help them. Theory of reciprocity, you've done all of that for them so far. Why not ask them for a referral? You know, Mr. Buyer, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to help you. I enjoyed spending time with you today. And, you know, I want to do such an amazing job that you are thrilled. I'm going to find your dream home and you're going to be so happy. I want to be your agent for life. I want you to refer all your friends and family to me. So I am absolutely going to go the extra mile. Hey, speaking of friends and family, you know a lot of people. Is there anyone you can think of today who might need my help? Someone at church, at work, kids' sports team? Well, thank you for thinking about it. Please keep me in mind, and may I ask you again in the future. So ask at the beginning, ask in the middle, ask at the end. And remember, we're going to be specific. Can you think of one person today who might need my help? And then set a goal. I'm going to extract 2 names per deal. They may not all turn into something, but that's okay. If each transaction, by the time I close it and have that thank you conversation, I've extracted 2 names, multiply that over the course of the year, that would be pretty good. So here's the script my husband and I have used for years. I would say, you know, Mr. Seller, I just want to thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. I know you have a lot of choices and we appreciate that you chose us. And I hope that you are satisfied with the service. And I pause. See, I want to give them a chance to tell me, yes, that they were satisfied. If by some chance they were not, if I can let them vent that and talk about that and take that in a non-defensive manner, I can probably turn that relationship back around. May not get a referral at that moment, but I can probably turn that back around. So we appreciate your business. They say, oh yeah, it was amazing. So glad you were happy. By the way, I know that you're going to move on now and I need another fabulous customer like you. Can you think of anyone in your world that I should meet? One person that might like to talk to me. Then I promise to stay in touch and I check with them in 30 days. I check with them in 90 days and I check with them again every quarter. So remember, as you're asking them to think of someone for you, use those memory joggers. Someone at church, someone at work, someone at the kids' sports team, that will sometimes shake something loose. And you have more power to spark opportunity than you even think you do. There are people in your database that are thinking about buying or selling, but they get in their own head, they get in their own way. And if you reached out and had that conversation and they thought that opportunity was possible, they just might do it.